What's going on, family? What's going on? What's going down with Sugar? Welcome to another episode of Nonfiction with Johnathan Soul. Now, the last show I talked about being prepared, and I talked about, basically two areas that you don't hear talked about a lot. Talked about vitamins for the immune system, and just in case the economy doesn't recover the way we need it to. Now, in this episode, I'm going to talk about another form of preparation, but this time it really kind of shows how heavy and what a critical situation we're in. Now, everybody knows around this time that Texas is going through a really, really tough time. For the last several days, they've been experiencing terrible, snowstorms and blackouts, electrical blackouts, things of that nature. There have been crazy lines. If you guys have seen it on Instagram or whatever, you got long lines, like a mile long, of people waiting to get groceries. There's that famous picture of like the icicles on the chandelier, the whole bit. Well, there's a story behind that which isn't really being reported. And this kind of goes into the theme of this particular program. Okay, this is coming from the TexasTribune.org. TexasTribune.org. This came out February the 18th, which is today, written by Aaron Douglas. Texas was seconds and minutes away from catastrophic months-long blackouts, officials say. Seconds and minutes. All right, as millions of customers throughout the state begin to have power restored after days of massive blackouts, officials with the Electrical Reliability Council of Texas, which operates the power grid that covers most of the state, says Texas was dangerously close to a worst-case scenario, uncontrolled blackouts across the state. A quick decision that the grid operators made in the early hours of Monday morning, which will be, the 15th, I guess, to begin what intended to be rolling blackouts, but lasted days for millions of Texans, occurred because operators were seeing warning signs that massive amounts of energy supply was dropping off the grid. Now, it could go deeper in that, and then I'll put the link in the description to the story, the Texas Tribune. Who's watching that? Who's watching the store? Shouldn't our senators and our state reps be putting the pressure on these utilities to be prepared for winter storms? You know what I mean? It's like, let me keep going. It's not just that. I'm going to hit you with it real quick. I'm going to try to make this short. 12 cities with the worst tap water in the U.S. Now, everybody knows about Flint, and it's been, more than 10 years? I think their old governor, was it the old governor? I think the old governor is just starting to get some legal hassles behind that. Nobody went to jail. Two people who were part of the beginnings of a class action lawsuit mysteriously end up killed. So it's a lot of shit going on. They still got to buy bottled water and stuff. And they still got to pay their water bill. It's not just Flint, though. 12 cities. This is coming out of the businessinsider.com. And this was March 17, 2020 by Aria Bendix. Bendix. 12 cities. Okay. Skipping down here. All right, the first city is Pittsburgh. Now, I was shocked about this. Pittsburgh officials have been accused of downplaying the threat of lead-contaminated drinking water. In 2017, the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority issued a warning to residents to boil their tap water before drinking it. Even basic activities like brushing your teeth or washing dishes should be done with boiled water, they said. Now, I've been in a situation in my area where we had to do that, where there was a heavy rain and then there was a flood or something. And then they said, hey, for the next couple of days, you got to boil your water. Same thing in D.C. Such and such, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I haven't drunk out of a water fountain in D.C. in years. It might have been, I ain't going to say decades, but it's been a long time. because DC, the nation's capital's water is fucked up. So, I was, let me keep going. I don't want to drift. Milwaukee health officials, this is from the same article in Business Insider. Milwaukee health officials have failed to warn families whose children tested positive for lead. Milwaukee has also been mired in scandal when it comes to safe drinking water. In 2018, the city health commissioner, I think it's Bevan Baker, resigned amid news that public health officials failed to warn families whose children tested positive for elevated lead levels from 2015 to 2017. Now, of course, we know about Flint. Officials still aren't sure if Flint's water is safe to drink. That a bitch. It says Flint water crisis spilling over into public schools. So I'm going to keep going. Basically, Newark, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., which I mentioned. One of my kids went to a school in New Jersey. The school newspaper put out a memo, hey, don't drink the water out the water fountain. Use bottled water until further notice. Residents of Bradley, Texas, worried about radium in their water supply. Baltimore has cloudy reservoir with potentially toxic particles. Water in Dos Palos, California, has toxic chemicals linked to cancer and kidney problems. Charleston, West Virginia, still recovering from massive chemical spill. It's a lot. I'm building up a kind of an argument here. And then lastly, until I get to my thought. I have never taken a vaccination as an adult in my whole life. When I got the flu, I fucking sweated it out. Literally. I was freezing on the inside and hot on the outside. And I sweated that shit out. Sometimes I wouldn't even take over the counter. I sweated that shit out. Now, with this corona bullshit from China, I might have to take it, baby. So what did I do? Now my state, you got to be in the 70s or above or frontline. So it's not my turn, but I'm looking for my people, right? So there's no vaccine appointments available within 50 miles of our zip code. I watch my governor's update on like the state, and I watch DC's and everything. And guess what? The federal government has not sent them enough. The federal government hasn't even sent them enough for the front line, like federal workers. So what's all this bad news leading to? This is what it's leading to. Are we in the third world status right now? Is that what's going on? Are we third world status and we just didn't, nobody told us? Now, obviously this is rhetorical. We're not third world status. As long as there's no pandemic, as long as there's no storms or everything, America is just trucking along just fine. As long as there's no police murdering people on camera, America just trucks along just fine. But we do have major problems when it comes to infrastructure. And it's not given any attention until the news, comes out or something goes viral on social media. For example, Texas is being really fucked up right now behind this storm. And so Texas Senator, and I'm sure y'all heard about it, Cruz, he took his family to Mexico for vacation. Now you might say, well, but you a senator though. Ain't you supposed to be making sure your people straight? At least have some press conferences and say, listen, such and such FEMA, such and such, this is, go to these places. I mean, but he was gone. And then once the shit hit the social media, then he came back real quick, on a trying to save the optics kind of vibration. But these people don't, obviously, Michael said it best. They don't give a fuck about us. Or was that that wasn't the lyric was? They don't give a damn. My fault. Use the wrong profanity. They don't give a damn about us. So every now and then I get caught up in the bullshit. I was watching the hearings on Robin Hood. I was like, wow, Maxine Waters is really, I claim my time and all that kind of shit. And she was coming down on them hard until I started reading these stories. And I'm like, that don't mean shit. If people don't got clean drinking water, that don't mean shit if your electricity go out for 2 and 3 days. I would be willing to bet that you have all the resources that you need to get through this very difficult time. If you don't have the cash, there's a way for you to get the cash legally, kind of a thing. Almost everything that you want to know, this is going to sound crazy, is on YouTube. You don't see it for free. I do technical stuff, right? I'm in IT. So much of the work I've done, I've had to teach myself because, I had to teach myself. Let's just put it like that. And a lot of that shit is on YouTube, yo, for free. We are living in a very special time in history right now. I believe there are ages of the internet, right? If you're a comic book head, you heard about the golden age and the silver age and all that kind of stuff. Well, I think that we're in some kind of age when the internet. So there was a time in the 90s, I felt like we was in a free software age, right? We was in a sharing age where Napster just started popping and this kind of torrent thing started hitting. And if you wanted Adobe Photoshop, you could get it, download it off a random website. It didn't have no viruses on it or nothing, no malware that I could tell. Not saying I did it. You could do all of that. I remember when you could put Adobe Photoshop on one floppy. And they say, oh, wow, you're going back a ways. Yeah, you're just going to add all the brushes. You could put it on a CD or whatever. But then they started, putting security on there. We're checking the network connection and pinging the server and said, oh, this is an unauthorized copy. It won't work, kind of a thing. So that went away. So now we in the age of knowledge sharing to where there's almost anything you want to know in the world. Somebody made a video about it and it's probably on YouTube. This microphone I'm talking to right now, you know how many YouTube reviews I've looked at over the years? I've looked at all of them. The way I got this whole setup, I seen a brother do it on YouTube. Old white dude, bless his soul, named Mike Malloy. He's one of my low-key hero type people in the broadcast game. He's not a perfect individual, but goddamn, he's a good broadcaster. He's like the Democratic version of, let's just say the Sith and Jedi, right? He's the Jedi version of Rush Limbaugh. Put it like that. Kind of a thing, So I guess if I had to give this show a theme, I would say the fundamentals are being neglected by the state and the federal governments. And so we have to look after ourselves on that front. And I'm talking about water. If we can't get the vaccine, make sure you get on the waiting list if that's what you want to do. If you're talking about, clean water, I don't know how to do the water prep, but there's some kind of way that you can do the water prep. I bet you it's a YouTube video on it. And when it comes to power, the solar panel thing I'm going to look into. In the meantime, between time, there are larger versions of this little, I think it's Econ. ETON. There's larger versions of these storm radios that you can get, NOAA on and stuff. There's CBs, all kinds of things. And the price of everything is coming down. And you don't do the thing like I did when I was younger where you try to buy everything at once. Don't do that shit. Because you'll end up buying all this stuff and then you won't use it for years. You might be frustrated and neglected. But the whole idea is that thinking that somebody else is going to take care of it is dangerous, because they're not. They're not until they face consequences for if they don't. So until they do, until running on clean water is sexy, until running on modernizing our infrastructure is sexy, until running on a robust supply chain for food and medicine becomes something that people will go to the polls for, we got to look after ourselves as much as possible. All right. This is Johnathan Soul, JonathanSoul.com. You can get more of my content on JonathanSoul.com, JonathanSoul.com. I talk about current events, politics, a little bit. Mostly, I review Black-owned and created comic books that you can read for yourself or read to your children. So it's like the yin and the yang. If I did this new stuff all the time, I would go crazy. So the comic books bring me joy, and so I talk about that. You can buy them for your nieces and nephews and your sons and your daughters. And I even talk about little children's books you can read to your little bambinos. All right, love you guys. Peace. Oh, one more thing. I got a sci-fi novel on Amazon called Malcolm Mars. Malcolm Mars. Malcolm Mars is about three brothers who got families. The brothers were engineers. They went to HBCU. Supposed to be Howard, but I didn't mention Howard in there. They built a starship. A tragedy happened. Put their families in the starship, shot off to Mars, built the whole civilization. And then it was just a balance of building what they had, the new thing they were building there in Mars, and then reaching back to some of their fellows who were still back on Earth. And then the contacts with aliens, different other life forms they was meeting and so forth. It's a whole vibration. It's almost like to me it's like Deep Space Nine, except they're on a planet and it's families. It's like three families. So it's I just imagine Cisco and his two best friends, their wives and kids. Boom. It's almost like that. All right. Anyway, it's on Amazon, Malcolm Mars by Johnathan Soul. Pick it up as an ebook. You can, it'll play on it'll read. You can read it on your tablet or your phone, Amazon or iPhone or whatever. All right. Thanks for supporting me, family. I'll keep supporting you. Peace.